following presentation provides an overview of the Sherman-Minton Renewal project, including the environmental document and Preferred Alternative Maintenance of Traffic, or MOT, approach for construction. In this presentation, you will learn about the project overview and status, public involvement overview, purpose and need and range of alternatives considered, alternatives analysis, the Preferred Alternative MOT and contract requirements, and public comment guidance. The goals of this presentation are to provide an overview of the project and the environmental document, present the Preferred Alternative MOT, obtain public input on the environmental document and the Preferred Alternative MOT. The Sherman-Minton Renewal involves a rehabilitation of the I-64 Sherman-Minton Bridge and the associated Indiana and Kentucky approach bridges. The project is a design-build best value procurement, which means price is not the only criteria that will determine which team is selected. This project delivery method invites innovative traffic management and constructability solutions that will help reduce construction time and impacts to the public. Work elements include replacement of bridge decks, structural steel repairs, bridge deck overlays, bridge painting, hot mix asphalt overlays, and the upgrading of ramps in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. The draft environmental document required by the National Environmental Policy Act is available for public review and comment starting July 1st, 2020. Public outreach and an official comment period will take place from July 1st until August 14th, 2020. The request for proposals, or RFP, was issued to the 3 shortlisted proposers mid-June, and the selection of the design-build contractor team will take place in the winter of 2020. The estimated 3-year construction process is scheduled to start in 2021. As part of the environmental study, the project team has conducted an extensive public involvement process following the launch of the project in August 2018. Through a wide range of outreach tools and conversations, the project team has received valuable input from community leaders, elected officials, business owners, and the general public. Public outreach has included setting up a project website, establishing advisory committees, developing social media channels, and administering surveys. The project team has conducted 4 open houses, 4 community advisory committee meetings, and 4 environmental justice committee meetings. To date, there has been significant engagement with the public to include more than 38,000 engagements on social media, more than 6,200 visits to the project website, more than 2,700 people completed project surveys, and 170 people completed comment cards. The purpose of the project is to rehabilitate the I-64 Sherman-Minton Bridge over the Ohio River and associated approach bridges and surface streets, with the goal of extending the service life of the structures for up to 30 years. The need is evidenced by an increase of planned and urgent bridge maintenance and closures to ensure the safety of the traveling public. This is due to deteriorating structural conditions of the existing Sherman-Minton Bridge over the Ohio River, the deterioration of the associated Indiana and Kentucky approaches, and deteriorating pavement of select associated surface streets. As part of the environmental study, the alternatives considered include no-build and build, or rehabilitation. The no-build alternative is an avoidance alternative. In other words, there is no immediate spending of funds, no impact, and this requires more frequent inspections, maintenance work, and potential closures. It increases user costs and does not meet the purpose and need of the project. The build or rehabilitation alternative involves the following: repair of the existing bridge structure, use of federal funds, temporary traffic and environmental impacts, a reduction in maintenance and potential closures, extension of functional life, and all work is completed within the existing right-of-way, and it meets the purpose and need of this project. 6 MOT options were initially evaluated following an extensive traffic modeling process. 2 lanes, 2 decks open, 1 lane, 2 decks open, and 3 different variations of 1 deck open, including alternating directions in the AM and PM, reversible lanes in the AM and PM, 1 direction in 2 different phases, and full closure. The following graphics illustrate each of the MOT options, noting the estimated duration of construction as well as access and closure details. Key project constraints include rehabilitation of existing structures, no additional capacity, staying within existing right-of-way, limited excavation associated with ADA ramp upgrades, and temporary ramp widening during construction. Contractors are limited to working within the existing right-of-way. There are no direct impacts to natural resources, such as wetlands and streams, cultural resources, such as historic properties, or social resources, such as parks and trails, and tree clearing and excavation will be limited. Each of the MOT options were evaluated regarding the diversions and congestion they created. MOT options 1, 2, and 4 maintain continuous travel on the Sherman-Minton Bridge in both directions. Of these options, MOT option 1 has the lowest diversions and congestion. MOT options 2 and 4 have lower diversions but offset diversion and congestion. And MOT options 5 and 6 create significant traffic congestion in downtown New Albany during peak hours. With these options, no substantial impacts are anticipated in West Louisville based on traffic diversion and existing capacity on local roadways. This slide and the following slide are included to illustrate both ends of the spectrum. On this slide, featuring MOT option 1, you'll see the lowest network congestion, but the longest construction duration and highest cost. In contrast, this slide featuring MOT option 5, or full closure, you'll see the highest network congestion, but the shortest duration and the lowest cost. When considering temporary transit impacts, the following conclusions were reached. The temporary impacts and potential detours experienced by transit users would vary by MOT option. Due to the fixed route nature of transit, there's greater emphasis on reliability and on-time performance. MOT options 1, 2, and 4 maintain continuous travel on the Sherman-Minton Bridge in both directions and would be less disruptive. MOT option 5, or full closure, would require rerouting of the TARC Route 71. Conversations with TARC leaders tell us that TARC has the flexibility to accommodate changes and minimize impacts to service. When considering temporary economic impacts, the following conclusions were reached. Local businesses closest to the Sherman-Minton Bridge that rely heavily on cross-river patronage will be most affected. The temporary impacts vary by MOT option. MOT option 1 results in the lowest economic impact and the longest duration. MOT options 2 and 4 result in continuous two-way travel lanes across the bridge, but offset diversion and congestion. MOT option 5, or full closure, results in a disruption of cross-river commerce and a higher economic impact. All of the MOT options will have varying degrees of temporary effects for affected communities, services, and facilities based on these factors: community access, mobility, cohesion, and quality of life. Options maintaining two-way travel over the bridge have reduced congestion and lower social impacts. After studying each of the MOT options individually and in combination, the project team made some determinations about which options to carry forward and which ones would not be part of a recommended approach. MOT options 3 and 6 were eliminated from further consideration. MOT options 1, 2, and 4 have the least amount of overall temporary impacts. And MOT option 5, or full closure, has the greatest temporary impacts and therefore will be used only for a minimal number of days. It will be used in combination with options 1, 2, and 4 based on constructability requirements. The preferred alternative will take place in 4 phases, and features include cross-river traffic being maintained with 2 eastbound and 2 westbound travel lanes open during the majority of construction, existing access ramps remaining open during the majority of construction, temporary crossover lanes and widening to ramp lanes in place to facilitate traffic flow, and 1 eastbound and 1 westbound lane closed throughout construction. 2 lanes will be maintained in both directions with access to all ramps at all times, with the following exceptions. Traffic may be reduced to 1 lane each direction overnight for up to 180 nights per calendar year. Associated ramps may also be closed at this time. 9 consecutive days and up to 3 weekends of full closure in each direction may occur no more than once per calendar year. Associated ramps will be closed at the same time. The design-build contractor will be allowed to work 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. However, changes in traffic patterns and full closures will not be allowed during certain holidays and other approved exceptions. Detour routes for Kentucky and Indiana will be in place during full closure. These routes will be posted along the interstate system to alternate interstate river crossings. State Street in New Albany may be used as an alternate during overnight ramp closures. The preferred alternative for MOT avoids or minimizes overall traffic impacts and diversions, economic and social impacts, and impacts to transit service. Construction is expected to take approximately 3 years. The project will not have a disproportionately high and adverse effect on environmental justice populations. For public review and comments, the environmental document is posted on the project website. It is also available at several locations in Kentucky and Indiana, including the Indiana Department of Transportation's Seymour office, TARC headquarters, Shively City Hall, the NIA Center, and Hope Southern Indiana in New Albany. Public and agency comments will be accepted through August 14, 2020. Comments may be provided through the Contact Us page on the project website, by calling the project hotline, by emailing info@shermanmintonrenewal.com, by completing a comment card at one of the locations mentioned on the previous slide, or by mailing comments to Michael Baker International. Persons with limited internet access may request project information be mailed. Please contact the project hotline at 502-329-8320 with your request or to make a comment. Thank you for your interest in this important bridge rehabilitation project that will extend the service life of a vital link between Kentucky and Indiana.